Hi, my dear students. Welcome back to the 9th standard social classes for English medium. Dear student, I hope that you are very fine at your home. Okay. And today we are going to discuss with the new concept in the same lesson, medieval India and political transition. In this lesson, we are going to deal with the another aspects of the lesson, that is the arrival of Turks. The arrival of Turks to India. Dear student, in the previous class, let us glance once again what we discussed in the last class. Dear student, in the last class, we came across a few important aspects of the contribution of Rajput kings or Rajput dynasties to the various fields called literature, art and architecture, and how these kings of Rajput helped to upliftment of the various educational institutions called Nalanda, Takshashila and so many others. See, we discussed all these things in the last class, and I hope that you studied well and understood well the previous class of me. Dear student, in this class, let us start with a new topic, that is teaching topic, that is the arrival of Turks. Dear student, in the last class, while we were discussing about the time of in 1191 CE. CE means Common Era. Yes, I hope that you know very well what had happened on this year. Yes, very good. The first Thrain War. The first Thrain War was happened in the year 1191. In the very next year, means 1192 CE. Yes, you can suspect that the second Thrain War. The second Thrain War happened. See, in these two Thrain War had taken place in the same place of Thrain. And these two war took between, yes, Prithviraj Chauhan or Prithviraj III from Chauhana dynasties, from Rajput dynasties, between Prithviraj Chauhan and Muhammad Ghori, isn't it? Yes, in these two wars, the result of these two wars, the first consequences of the first war of Thrain, Muhammad Ghori was defeated by Prithviraj Chauhan at the place of Thrain, and he was severely weakened and severely wounded, and he was sent back to his Turks, the land of Turk. In the very next year, means 1192 Common Era, Muhammad Ghori, who was severely defeated and who was severely injured, he again took a challenge to take revenge on Prithviraj Chauhan, so that he invaded India in 1192 Common Era in the second Thrain War. In that war, Muhammad Ghori defeated Prithviraj Chauhan, and he made the Chauhana dynasties, the Chauhana dynasty or the entire Rajput kingdoms under a part of Delhi Sultanate. We discussed all these things in the previous classes, and I hope that you understood all these things in the last class. Dear student, when Muhammad Ghori defeated Prithviraj Chauhan, this incident created a way to establishment of Delhi Sultan or the Muslim kingdom in India. So according to the view of this Muhammad Ghori, he came India along with his neighbors, along with his military assistants to India to establish the Ghor kingdom in India. So this was actually happened. Now dear student, let us know two more details about the arrival of Turks. The arrival of Turks in this class. Let us see. Dear student, in the arrival of Turks, arrival means coming of Turks or entering of to India. I hope that you are very familiar with this war and what had happened in the Tarain war. See, by defeating the small kingdom of Rajput kings, Turks built their empire in the subsequent years. The student, we came across a few things in the earlier classes. After the defeating of Prithviraj Chauhan at the place of Tarain in 1192 Common Era, this Turk dynasty started to invade on India and gradually they established their kingdom subsequent years. It means after the time of 1192 onwards, these Turks, yes, gradually they entered by establishing of the small kingdoms in India. So finally or eventually they destroyed the Rajput kings by defeating all the kings in the kingdom, and they built their small empire in the upcoming years or onwards of the time 1192. The establishment of Turks rule, whose reason or whose religion was Islam. Yes, dear student, you must observe. You see, the religion of Turks. What was the religion of Turks? That is nothing but Islam. Islam was the religion of Turks. The establishment of Turks rule, whose religion was Islam, was not completely unexpected. See, it was not unexpected. It was completely expected. Yes, we can say that when Muhammad Ghori invaded on India, then kings from the small dynasties of Rajput Empire, especially Prithviraj III or Prithviraj Chauhan, he checked the invasion of Muhammad Ghori. And finally, he was defeated by Muhammad Ghori, because we can observe one thing here, dear students. See, the lack of unity, the lack of military power, and indifferences in the kings of Rajput dynasties, and the internal strifes, the internal quarrel between or among the kings of Rajput dynasties made to Muhammad Ghori to invade India and establish his kingdom or Ghor kingdom in India. So finally what we can say that the lack of unity among the kings of Rajput dynasty caused Muhammad Ghori or Turks to arrive in India and establish their kingdom in India. So finally what we can say that, see, this invention or this arrival of Turks rule, whose religion was Islam, was not expected. It was really completely, yes, it was really expected. It was not actually unexpected, it was expected. Their arrival was expected, yes. And then Arabs had made failed attempts to capture Sindh. So these Arabs had made failed attempts to capture Sindh region from the beginning of 8th century. Still Sindh region was always under the constant threat of Turks attacks. And then the Turks belonged to a nomadic tribe of Mongolia. These Turks, the student observe here, Turks belonged to the nomadic tribe of Mongolia. A part of this nomadic tribe of Mongolia was a part of Central Asia who had accepted Islam. So these accepted Islam as their religion. Got it? These Turks belong to the nomadic tribe, and these Turks accepted the Islam religion as their prime religion. But this was happened. This nomadic tribe was belonged to Mongolia. Mongolia, it is the central part of Asia. These Turks finally accepted their religion as Islam. Then Alaftagin, who belonged to the tribe. What tribe? Yes, nomadic tribe. Alaftagin, who was belonged to the nomadic tribe, established his independent state in 963 CE. 963 CE. Who established? Yes, Alaftagin, who belonged to the nomadic tribe. He established the independent state in 963 CE in Ghazni. Where? In Ghazni, one of the regions of Afghanistan. Yes, Ghazni. Ghazni, it is one of the regions of Afghanistan. Alaftagin, who established his kingdom or his independent kingdom in the 963 Common Era at Ghazni. Ghazni, one of the regions of Afghanistan. But this Alaftagin was belonged to nomadic tribe of Mongolia, whose place was Central Asia. Yes, my dear student, I hope that you are getting my point. But then the battles between Turks and Rajputs started from his period. See, the war or the battles or the quarrels started between Turks and Rajputs. See, the quarrel between Turks and Rajputs were started from this period. From this period, we can also say that at the post time of 10th century, the quarrel started between Rajputs and Turks. Got it? So this was actually beginning and initiation of the arrival of Turks. Dear student, you must observe one thing, that these Turks were not basically belong to Islam religion, but these group of Turks came under in nomadic tribe of Mongolia, where they lived in Central Asia. They gradually accepted their religion as Muslim or Islam. They gradually accepted Islam as their religion. Alaftagin, who belonged to the Mongolian or nomadic tribe, he established his independent tribe or independent kingdom in the 963 Common Era. At Ghazni. Ghazni was one of the small regions of Afghanistan. And then let us see more detail about Ghazni. Yes, the full name of Ghazni is Muhammad Ghazni. Let us see the brief introduction about Ghazni. Muhammad Ghazni. But dear student, I hope that you are very familiar with the invention of Muhammad Ghazni. Yes. See, we can observe so many times our senior friends, they used to say, how many times Ghazni attacked? Yes. How many times Ghazni invaded India? Yes. He invaded India on 17 times. Let us see a brief introduction about Muhammad Ghazni. Muhammad the student Muhammad Ghazni was born in 971 CE. When he was born in 971 Common Era. What it? Then his father was. Who was his father? His father was Sabaqtagin. Who is that? Sabaqtagin. His father was Sabaqtagin, and then his empire was which is his empire? Yes, his empire was Ghazni. Muhammad of Ghazni. Then invaded on India. How many times he invaded on India? Invaded on India. Yes, how many times? 17 times. He invaded India on 17 times. And then his death was happened in 1030 Common Era. This is the introduction about Ghazni or Muhammad of Ghazni. He was the king of Ghazni region. He was born on 971 Common Era, and his father was Sabaqtagin. His empire was which is that Ghazni Empire. Then he invaded India 17 times. Then death he was died on 1030 Common Era. He was Muhammad Ghazni invaded for 17 times on India. His intention was only to grab the wealth, the huge amount, and the huge treasures. It is the only intention of Muhammad Ghazni. So Muhammad Ghazni came to know that India was consisting of many temples, and he also knew that in that temple lot of treasures, lot of wealth, especially jewels. When he came to know that there was a huge number of or huge collection of jewels and gold and so many valuable things, when he came to know that, he attacked on India for 17 times and he grabbed the wealth, especially gold and jewels, and carried all these wealth to where? To Turks. So this is the only intention of Muhammad Ghazni. And the attack or invade on Muhammad Ghazni's invention on Somnath temple and other temples, especially the invention on Somnath temple is a remarkable thing in Indian history, because he looted completely Somnath temple. So this is the brief introduction about Muhammad Ghazni, my dear students. Let us see Ghazni Muhammad. Let us see more details about Ghazni Muhammad. The student Muhammad Ghazni or Ghazni Muhammad, the famous Somnath temple and the temple of Saurashtra were destroyed during his invention. See, India is having lot of treasures, lot of wealth. You can see India is consisting of more number of wealth or more number of resources. So in the time of, especially in the time of Ghazni, Muhammad Ghazni, when he attacked on Somnath temple, he not only looted the Somnath temple, but also he destroyed the temple. And then he attacked not only Somnath temple, but also he attacked on Saurashtra temple. He not only looted the Saurashtra temple but also destroyed the temple. Somanatha temple and Saurashtra temples were destroyed by Muhammad Ghazni. Then what happened? Muhammad Ghazni, though all the Rajput kingdoms of the Western India were battered by these inventions, but they failed to face the Turks with unity. Dear students, though Rajput kings were able to check all these attack of the Turks or invasion of the Turks, but they failed to face the Turks because of the lack of unity among the kings of the Rajput dynasties. The Rajput dynasties. So, this is the only reason, the lack of unity and the internal problems caused or made to Muhammad Ghazni to attack on India, or the failure of Rajput dynasty. Then, so this is the main reason to Muhammad Ghazni to loot India. Muhammad succeeded in his inventions due to the political and military weaknesses of Rajputs. Dear students, yes, where there is will, there is a way. Where there is no way, there will be no way. Got it? Likewise. See, single we cannot do anything else, but unity we can survive. We can do anything else. Oggatinalli balavide. Have you heard the proverb in Kannada? Oggatinalli balavide. Unity is strength. But this lack of unity and internal strifes or internal problems, internal quarrel between the kings in the Rajput dynasty made Muhammad Ghazni to invade on India. And the weaknesses of political, economical and administrative systems, these caused or helped Muhammad Ghazni to attack on India. Muhammad succeeded the invasion of India due to the political military weaknesses of Rajputs. Muhammad Ghazni came to know that there will be some kind of weaknesses, especially in the field of political and economical and administrative things. So that is why this helped Muhammad Ghazni to attack on India and looted all the temples, especially Somanatha temple. And then Muhammad Ghazni invaded 17 times and carried away enormous amount of golden ornaments and wealth to Ghazni. As I told earlier, he attacked 17 times and he carried away enormous gold and treasures to Ghazni. And then, though he did not build empire in India. See, dear student, in earlier I told that Muhammad Ghazni's intention was only to loot India, not to establish any kind of kingdom or empire in India. His intention is only to attack and loot and destroy the temples, destroy the wealth in India. But whereas the intention of Muhammad Ghori, the main intention of Muhammad Ghori is not only looting the entire temples in India, but also to establish the kingdoms or his empire in India. Ghori always intended to establish his empire wherever he went. Whereas Muhammad Ghazni, wherever he went, he looted the place only, but he did not establish any kind of empire. So this is the thing we can observe the differences between Ghazni and Ghori. Got it? So he did not ready to establish any kind of empire in India. His inventions showed the way to further Turks invention in India. They showed what helped to the Turks. The invention of Muhammad Ghazni, showed the greatest interest to the other kings from the Turk to attack again on India. He looted 17 times. He invaded 17 times. These invasion of Muhammad Ghazni has helped other kings from Turks to attack on India for the further times. So this is actually the brief introduction about Muhammad Ghazni. My dear student, I hope that you understood about the brief introduction of Muhammad Ghazni. Okay. Then let us study about Muhammad Ghori. Now let us discuss about Muhammad Ghori. Let us discuss about Muhammad Ghori. Muhammad Ghori, who wanted to establish the Ghor kingdom in India. Dear student, let us see first the brief introduction about Muhammad Ghori. His birth date was, born on 1149 CE. Muhammad Ghori was born on 1149 CE or Common Era. His father was, his father was Bahal al-Din Sam. Bahal al-Din Sam. Bahal al-Din Sam was his father. And then his empire or kingdom. His empire or kingdom was Ghor. What is that? Ghor kingdom. And then his achievement. What was his achievement? His achievement was nothing but the establishment of Turk rule in India. Yes, what is that? Establishment of Turks rule in India. The establishment of Turk rule in India, that is his achievement. And his death took place on 1206 CE. His birth took place on 1206 or 206. So this is the brief introduction about Muhammad Ghori. And then Muhammad Ghori, a Turk dynasty. Let us see how he entered or how he about to start his kingdom. A Turk dynasty of Shahansbani of Ghor region of Afghanistan came to prominence and ended the rule of Ghazni dynasty. See, after the end of Ghazni dynasty in Afghanistan, Ghiyasuddin Muhammad Ghor, listen here, Ghiyasuddin Muhammad Ghor of this dynasty ascended the throne. See, dear student, observe here, a Turk dynasty of Shahansbani of Ghor region of Afghanistan came to prominence and ended the rule of Ghazni Empire or Ghazni dynasty. After that, Ghiyasuddin Muhammad Ghor, who is that? Ghiyasuddin Muhammad Ghor came into exist or came into throne or came to ascended the throne. Got it? Ghiyasuddin Muhammad Ghor. He sent his younger brother. Who sent? Ghiyasuddin Muhammad Ghor sent his younger brother Mujahiddin Muhammad to establish a Turk rule in India. Yes, who sent Mujahiddin Muhammad to India to establish a Turk rule in India? Yes, who is that? Ghiyasuddin Muhammad Ghor sent Mujahiddin Muhammad to India to establish Turk rule in that time. He is called as, who is called as? Yes, he is called as Muhammad Ghori. Who is called as Muhammad Ghori? who established in India, who established Turk rule in India, Mujahiddin Muhammad. Mujahiddin Muhammad is called as the Muhammad Ghori, who established the Turk rule in India. Got it? It is so many historians called Mujahiddin Muhammad as Muhammad Ghori. Got it? Yes. See, this is actually the way how Muhammad or Ghori established in India. How Ghor dynasty established in India. Got it? See, he started Muhammad Ghori. Muhammad Ghori started his invention by besieging Multana. Yes, by keeping Multan as his administrative place or prime place, he started his invention. Muhammad Ghori wanted to recapture the places of Sindh. That were under the rule of Muhammad Ghazni. Dear student, Muhammad Ghori, he came to the throne after the decline of Ghazni dynasty or Ghazni empire. Isn't it? He started his invention. Muhammad Ghori started his invention by keeping the prime place of Multana, and he first started the invention he wanted to recapture the place of Sindh, which was under the control of Ghazni empire, and he captured the Sindh province. Then he invaded Anilwada of Gujarat. As soon as he captured Sindh provinces, again he invaded on Anilwada of Gujarat and got defeated there. Then this defeat made Muhammad to change his plan, and he attacked Peshawar and conquered it. See, this defeat made Muhammad to change his plan, and he attacked Peshawar and conquered it. Then he invaded the places called Khusro Malik of Lahore and surrendered there. And then by keeping Lahore as his center, by keeping the place Lahore as his center, Muhammad attacked the plains of India. This attack was naturally restricted by the rule of Delhi Prithviraja Chauhan. Got it? Invaded on India, Prithviraja Chauhan or Prithviraja III, he checked his invention from India. Got it? Then he defeated Muhammad that. Yes, who defeated? Prithviraja Chauhan defeated Muhammad Ghori at Tarai in the time of 1191 in first Tarai war. Yes, we discussed this. We discussed this part in the earlier classes. Got it? Then Muhammad returned to Ghor after Muhammad Ghori was defeated by Prithviraj Chauhan. He returned to Ghor again, and he re-entered India, and again he faced Prithviraj Chauhan at the second Tarai war. The second Tarai war, which was held on 1192 CE, but in this time Muhammad Ghori defeated Prithviraja Chauhan. And then Govindarao and Bhola, who were instrumental in the Rajput victory during first Tarai battle, were killed. Dear student, you must observe one thing, that in the first Tarai war took place between Muhammad Ghori and Prithviraj Chauhan. In this battle, Prithviraj Chauhan defeated Muhammad Ghori. In the kingdom of Prithviraj Chauhan, we could observe two important military officers who played a vital role to defeat Muhammad Ghori in that first Taran war. Those none other than Govind Rao and Bhola. These two military officers played a instrumental role in the first Taran war. But in the second Taran war, after Muhammad Ghori defeated the Rajput dynasty, especially Prithviraj Chauhan, Muhammad Ghori immediately came to the kingdom and he killed the Govind Rao and Bhola, who played a vital role in the defeating of Muhammad Ghori in the first Taran war. So, in this way, Muhammad Ghori took a revenge on Rajput dynasty. Then Prithviraj Chauhan was imprisoned. After that, Prithviraj Chauhan was imprisoned. Then Muhammad appointed his slaves. Muhammad appointed his slaves to take care of areas owned by him in India. See, after Muhammad Ghori won many places in India, Muhammad Ghori appointed his slaves to take care of the places which was owned by Muhammad Ghori in India. Then he got murdered on his way back to Ghori. Unfortunately, when Muhammad Ghori was returning to his kingdom, Ghor dynasty, on the way he was killed. He was killed. So this is the introduction about Muhammad Ghori. This is the introduction about Muhammad Ghori. My dear student, let us see how Muhammad Ghori established the political implementation in India. Now let us see how Muhammad Ghori established the political changes in his kingdom. Let us see the political changes or the political implementation. The political implementation. The political implementation that he implemented in his kingdom. The student when Muhammad Ghori wanted to invade on India, he intended that not only alone to India but to establish the kingdom in India. So that is why he entered or he invaded to India. In his kingdom, while he was ruling, he changed some political changes. He changed some administrative system in his kingdom. See, what were the administrative system that had been changed by Muhammad Ghori? Let us see. See, the victory of Ghoris had many major political implementations. The victory of Ghoris had brought many changes in his kingdom, especially the political changes. The first thing is, the political system of the kingdom consisting of small kingdoms were vanished. The students, after he established the kingdom, the small kingdoms or the petty kingdoms, especially where the petty kingdoms were established, those were vanished. Those were vanished. Got it? Then a centralized rule of Sultan who had immense power at Delhi came into existence. See, in the administrative system of Muhammad Ghori, he vanished or he dismissed the small kingdoms in his kingdom. By vanishing all these small kingdoms, he established a centralized administrative system, and which should be under the control of the centralized government headed in Delhi. And it would be led by Sultan. And Sultan would be the supreme power in the kingdom. So this is actually his political implementation. And then Delhi became the powerful places in his kingdom. Yes, like that. As a result of this, the entire northern India came under the rule of one rule after Harsha. Got it? Then the system of administration was different from Rajputs. Yes, the administrative system was completely different from the Rajput dynasties, because Rajput dynasties, as we discussed in the last classes, Rajput dynasties was administrated as small kingdoms, or by small petty kingdoms like Paramaras, Chauhanas, Solankis, likewise. Got it? See, when Muhammad Ghori came into exist, he banned all the small kingdoms and he turned his kingdom as centralized one, and Delhi became the supreme place in his kingdom. Got it? And then the Sultan had the absolute power of their appointing or dismissing of all the officials. The students, while appointing the officials or dismissing the officials, Sultan played a very important role, and he was an absolute power. He had an absolute power to appoint or dismissing the officials in his kingdom. The military administration was also clearly unlike the previous one. Yes, it was nothing but like military power as early as it was actually like the previous one. The soldiers were appointed, but small changes could be seen. The soldiers and the senior military officers were directly appointed by the sultans. The military system was as same as the time of Rajputs or Ghaznis, but there we could see small changes. What is that? The military higher officers and the soldiers were directly appointed by the sultan. So that is why, sultan played an important and supreme role in the administrative matter. And the soldiers remained loyal directly to the sultan himself. So since the soldiers and military officers were appointed by sultans, military officers, importantly, the soldiers should maintain loyalty to the supreme power sultan. So this is actually the administrative, especially the military administrative system of Muhammad Ghori. Then, with the establishment of the rule of sultans, India got reconnected with the other world. With the administrative system of sultan, India again got a reconnection with the other countries or the world, which had remained cut off from the 8th century onwards. Got it? So this is actually the political implementation of Muhammad Ghori. My dear students, I hope that you have understood very well about the brief introduction of Muhammad Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori and their achievements, how they invaded India and established their kingdom, and how they played a very important role in the establishment of their respective kingdoms in India, and how they contributed political administrative system in India. I hope that you understood very well. Dear students, take down the today's homework. Yes, write briefly about Muhammad Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori and their achievements. So this is the homework for today's class. I hope that you understood today's class very well, and we will meet with the next topic in the next lesson. Thank you.